Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of Open Thought House. This is Baked Rex, and I am here today with Hoss and Noodle and Senpai and Bubba Cheese. Today's topic is kind of going to be about trauma leading to addiction / substance abuse / any other thing that you would consider kind of harmful to yourself. So it is known that whatever is traumatic to me may not be traumatic to other people. I'll kind of give my story or my example, and then we have a couple other people here that are going to share their stories as well. So kind of to give myself a brief rundown, my mom and dad, my biological mother and my biological father, they were never married, but they treated me as such with, having to go back and forth between holidays, having to go back and forth between weekends, and it was a hard deal. And my dad, biological father, did not leave me until I was between the ages of 10 or 12. I'm not 100% quite sure. I won't necessarily say his name, but he emotionally left scars on me with certain things. Humiliation was a big one. He was a major alcoholic and drug abuser, and he basically, anytime I'd have birthday parties, anytime I'd have groups of friends over, he would just act like a clown, or he'd just act like an ass, and it would tend to ruin any occasion that I had. One birthday party, we had a party at an ice skating rink, and it was me and all my friends from elementary school. I had to have been in 3rd or 4th grade. I was pretty young. And he showed up completely intoxicated and I don't even know why he was even able to get, ice skates, but they still gave him ice skates, and he was out there falling everywhere, swearing, cussing, just making a total ass out of himself. And they eventually had to get the cops to escort him out. But just knowing that that was my dad, it just completely humiliated me. And of course, as the years go on, with me being in elementary to middle school to high school, I was constantly bullied every single day for just the stupidest crap. And it still affects me to this day because, well, my anxiety and my depression are bad. And a lot of times I think back to what certain people have told me. Another couple prime examples of him just, well, I would say ruined my life. I had long, beautiful, blonde, curly hair growing up as a little girl, and my mother was completely obsessed with it. And my mom and my dad fought all the time like you wouldn't believe, and the just crazy things that they would tell me, that, your dad is this, your dad is that. And then my dad would say, oh, well, your mom is this and your mom is that. And it was just going back and forth between, them just hating on each other. And I was in the middle of it, and I thought that I was the one that was causing the problem. And I really have to, in therapy, I still have to go through and tell myself that I was not the one that was the problem, but I just kind of got treated as a punching bag. And that's, unfortunately, was my role growing up as a child. He decided with my long, beautiful, curly hair to just cut it off completely, all the way short, all the way to my shoulders. And then for me, I'm not a bangs person, but he completely gave me those short, ugly, straight bangs right across, and oh my gosh. Anyways, I got made fun of for that.
Matilda bangs.
And
Matilda bangs.
Matilda bangs, exactly. Yeah, and for me, with having curly, crazy kinky hair, it just did not look good. My teeth, crinkly, whatever. My teeth were, buck. I had my hair going like this, and then he decided one day to put me in a giant purple dress with a huge bow on the back of it, and I just looked like a clown. I mean, it was Ridiculous. So what happened? I went to school and got made fun of. Went crying to the principal's office and had to get a change of clothes from my mom, which is ridiculous, but whatever. He also did other things, as I got a little older, he started offering me booze while he was driving, of course, intoxicated. Having me bring him the phone when I was probably around 8 or 9 years old. While he was in the shower, I had to bring him the phone. I found that a little bizarre. He would leave certain toys out, certain sexual toys that I would find. He was not a good guy. But Dad left when I was about 10 or 12 years old, and at the age of 14, my now dad has stepped in and adopted me at 14. When Bob adopted me, I got 2 brothers, older brothers. Matt was a couple years older than me, and Robbie was like 3 or 4 years older than me, but nothing too crazy. Me and Matthew actually played a lot. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Polly Pockets, those little, they were like little Barbie doll, teeny tiny Barbie dolls, but they had like rubber clothes, and you could, play with them. And it was like a Lego. My mom got us like a giant chest, and it had Legos in it, but it had dragons, and it had like monsters and stuff in there. And
back when Legos were cheap.
Back when Legos were like, cheap, but you'd get like a huge box of them. Yeah. It was so wicked. But we built like a castle and things like that, so we were really into that. Going down to the country to go see, now my dad's family. We'd go down there and ride the go-kart, go down there and shoot the BB guns. We'd have a blast. They were really good. Robbie was always a great older brother, very, very smart, which breaks my heart that he went down the path that he did. But he always helped me with my school, such as, getting art projects done, getting writing assignments, reading books, anything, because I struggled in school with reading, especially with having Dan in my life. He wouldn't take me to school, so I was always behind in classes, and I almost failed. I think it was 4th grade because, I wasn't reading and I wasn't passing any of my classes with it, and I was in lunch detention like every single freaking day of the week with my friend, and it just was absolutely miserable. Oh, I'm bleeding, what do you know? But, long story short, I remember the last day that I saw Rob when he was young before he started getting into drugs. He was 15 years old when he left our family to go live with his mom. And what happened at his mom's house, I have no idea. I was never over there. So why he went down the path that he did, I can't unfortunately give you guys that information. Robbie was dead on June 1st of 2013. I was notified that probably mid-morning around 10:30 or 11 through the Six Flags intercom. They told me, they called my name out, and I ran to the front and answered the phone, and my mom was screaming and crying, please get home, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, you called me in the middle of a theme park, an amusement park. What can I do for you? Like, obviously this is important. And then she told me that Robbie had passed. And I just remember smoking a whole pack of cigarettes on my way home with my friend that was with me. So I lost both my brothers to drugs. And I sit here today with all my past trauma that has happened to me, past experiences, and I can fully say that I rely on marijuana. It is something I can almost say in the last episode, me and my friend Squirrel touched up on that, and it's a very sensitive topic for me. But it is just something that I have kind of fallen deep into. I've never gotten into liquor this bad. I've had my, pastimes of having my share of alcohol, but it's nothing that really got me to that really good, relaxed feeling when my mind is, rambling on and on. So that's kind of the basic for me is, I started depending on it, and I still depend on it now for my depression and anxiety. But I'm just trying to work through day by day with all my past traumas and figuring out who I am and what role I play in this crazy world, and just trying to make the best out of my life and pass everything on to other people and hopefully give them an eye opener on kind of what happens on some people's lives, and maybe I can make a difference for them, or I can be that person that somebody can come to if they have problems, such as Noodle the other day. I was so proud of you for calling me. She had an urge. She said, I'm going to call mom and dad first. If anybody knows, we're kind of mom and dad to her. Me and Hoss. And she called and she said, I need a mommy hug. And she came over and told me, and I couldn't have been more proud of her for doing that. And that's what I want everybody that's listening to this podcast to know, is that you can always reach out and comment if you have any questions or concerns, or if you just need somebody to say hello to you. Noodle, what's your story? What happened with you?
The first time?
Just talk about the whole experience with kind of going down that path. Yours was obviously a little bit more intense than mine. I know I just rely on marijuana. But of course, marijuana, like, it's a gateway drug, and it's this and it's that. But to me, it's just weed. Come on, relax.
In easier words, marijuana, shouldn't be considered a drug.
No, I completely agree with that. But in today's society, that's what we're calling it. We're calling it a drug, but whatever. But your story is a little bit different because obviously your substances were very powerful, and they were some that could have killed you very quickly, very easily.
Yeah.
Almost dead. So
Almost dead.
Almost dead. It started, I want to say, freshman year of high school. I had a best friend. I've known him, me and him, we were kind of born around the same time. I think he was literally born like 2, 3, maybe 4 days before I was. So, he pulled a "I'm older than you" card. No, but we hit it off. We were best buds, and he made it to freshman year of high school, and I didn't know till now that he was madly in love with me. But the one thing is we went out for like a friend's night. We normally, back then, we'd go have dinner at like the arcade, and then we'd go watch a movie. And I went and watched The Hunger Games with him. That was the movie we watched that night. And I had a backpack with me just in case I needed anything, because a female could need anything at any time.
Oh, yeah.
And this man was so smart enough that he put, I want to say, a goodbye letter into my backpack in the pocket he knew I would open up for my first period of school the next day. And so it was probably Monday morning, I want to say sometime in September. It was a Monday morning in September. And I saw the letter, and of course I was like, okay, no big deal. It's from him. I can read it later. And then the principal walked in, and she said my name. She said, I need you to come with me right now. She's like, you can leave your stuff, just come with me right now. So of course I grabbed the letter, took my backpack, and I went with the principal, and we walked into her office, and I saw his mom crying, and I just hit my knees just instantly, and I let out like a big guttural, like deep diaphragm scream, because I knew just instantly when I saw his mom that something had happened. And to this day, I've never read that letter fully. I every time I read the first line, I just break down into tears, and I can't continue.
Sure.
But he started off the letter with my name, comma, I love you more than I love myself. and that's all I know that the letter says. No, it was at that instant. I called my mom. I said, Mom, as a high schooler, I'm not proud of it at the moment, but now I'm glad I did. I said, Mommy, I want you to come pick me up right now. I'm not okay. I said he's gone. I need you to come right now. And of course she left work. She came and she got me. And we talked for a little bit, but it didn't help. And I kept asking the question, like, why? Why did he do this? And everything. And then later that night, I was sitting in my room after I finished my homework. And I just couldn't get the thought out of my head, like, I need to pick me up. I need to pick me up really, really bad. So I texted one of my friends at the time, and I said, hey, what drugs do you have currently in your possession? And they responded a couple minutes later with, I've got some heroin, I got some coke, I also have some marijuana, you down? And I said, yeah, I'll be there in 5. And I went there, and I don't remember the next 2-3 days. I want to say we did a little bit of everything. And I know my mom was worried sick. The only thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed with my dad sitting there beside me crying. It was the first time I've ever seen my dad pray. And when I woke up, he was saying, God, please don't take my baby. Don't take my baby girl. And at that point, I knew that I didn't want to do it anymore. That was my last time touching any sort of drug. Because of what my dad said, as a teenager, I didn't think that my dad cared as much as he did. But when my mom told me later on that my dad was there for literally 2 days while I was in a drug-induced coma that I had put myself in, he didn't leave, he didn't sleep, he didn't shower, he cried constantly. He did anything and everything he did. He was just always there, just holding my hand, making sure I was okay. And I've had the urges, like I did the other day. It was a rough time for me. One of the streamers that I watch on Twitch, one of her best friends passed away, and he was very into the games and on the stream with her all the time. So of course it affected me. And I got off of work, and instantly in my brain went, hey, text your friend, ask what they have. And some voice inside of my head said, no, call mom and dad. Just call mom and dad. So I did. And I'm proud that I did. I don't wanna see that again.
How long did you use for?
The first time I ever tried, the first drug I tried was cocaine, and I was 8 or 9 years old. That's after my mom met my stepdad.
Oh, wow.
The last time I used, I want to say, was New Year's of my freshman year. Was the last time I ever touched any kind of drugs. It was not easy years. I don't recommend being in 7th grade and having to go to a mental place to talk about drugs in a 10, 11-year-old. It's not.
I actually saw that a lot when I was at the research facility. The kids, these were children that were right in front of me when we were switching for the lunch shift. I saw these kids walk out, and I'm like, how scary. I'm in my mid-20s, and I was terrified out of my ass to be in there. I can't imagine being in. How old were you at that time?
10, 11.
Yeah. No way.
It was scary. When I first got there, I cried for my mom.
Yeah.
Constantly. I wanted my mommy. I didn't sleep much. Of course, it didn't help the first time because the doctor didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to talk to a kid who had been through trauma. The first time I ever picked up a drug was when my grandmother passed away. That was first time I ever touched. I was probably 7. And I waited because I didn't want to. I was afraid. But then I was like, you know what? Why not? She's gone. I have no one else.
What was it?
It was coke.
Coke.
And then my friend was like, I don't have any more coke, but I have heroin. And I was like, why not? Let's try it. Tried a little bit of everything. I never did it all together. Like I did that one time it put me in the hospital, but I mean, if you look really closely, right there, there's track mark. This one flares up every now and then. I also have it in between my toes. That's what that is.
Scar on your finger.
Yep, that's what that is. There's one, yeah, right there.
I feel like you guys get desperate. Well, not you guys, because I wouldn't classify you.
I got desperate.
You just find any vein that you could, honestly. And you said one time you put it in your tear duct.
Yeah, one time I literally, I was like, I don't want to bust any veins, so I just said, just right up in there, just in my tear duct.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It burned. I wouldn't advise it.
I don't think I could do that if I was even that desperate. Like,
It's when you're on that cocaine down, you'll do anything and everything you can to get whatever type of drug you can get a hold of into your bloodstream.
Silence! Get off my titty, Dan! Oh, you sound like the lemon from Adventure Time.
Unacceptable!
Dumb dick.
Don't that bitch.
Ow.
Okay, anyways.
How did it abuse you to be on the substance path of abusiveness?
I got on the abusive pass of the sauce.
What's a sauce?
I was hitting the sauce real heavy. Okay. So now that our vocal warm-ups are done, I guess I'll start by... Didn't have a lot of trauma growing up like other people. But I can cut it short and sweet down to the bare bones like I like to do. I got hastily married at the ripe old age of 22. And needless to say, it was not a wise decision. The ex-wife was psycho crazy to the extreme. And when she left, she trashed the house, left the dog at his kennel for like 2 days. I wasn't at the house. At the time when I came home, I just came home to a trashed house, and she had destroyed almost everything. We were renting the house at the time, so I had to pay for everything to get fixed. And she had accused me of some things that were not true and had to clear my name of those things. It was after that whole period that I had started drinking pretty heavily, but thankfully not to the point that I became addicted to it. But I was definitely abusing it. And if it wasn't for one of my good friends who I was living with at the time, for him to kind of pull my head out of my ass, get me back on the right track, I probably would have became an alcoholic. At the rate I was drinking and going, it would have been really quick as well. It would have been hard. But yeah, since then I haven't really ever had any problems with drinking or having any alcohol. I haven't felt the urge to just drink and drink until I can't anymore, or stand up straight anymore. Yeah, that's basically it though. That's pretty much the one big piece of trauma in my life. Short and sweet.
Trash.
Bubba cheese.
Okay. So I guess my experience really I never really had any trauma either. Growing up, I mean, I was honestly, surprisingly, I'm like 5'2" now, so everyone outgrown me, but back in, my like 4th grade, I was like kind of the chubbier, taller girl of the class, and so I was always really insecure about myself, and I mean, I never really got bullied about it or anything, but I mean, I just noticed, watching movies or looking at, my peers and everything, it's like, I'm different. I'm like larger, I'm taller, like, I was afraid to wear skirts and shorts kind of thing. And so I eventually grew to have an eating disorder, to where I would excessively exercise and I would eat like really little. I never got into bulimia, but I was definitely anorexic. I was never really diagnosed with it, but the one time I had gone to the doctor with my mom for an annual checkup, I had lost so much weight that the doctor came in and said, you have about, a month or so right now with your current pace to live, and you can either go, you can be hospitalized or you can go to therapy and see a dietitian. And so, my mom, we really didn't, I didn't want to go to a hospital or anything. And so we ended up deciding to get me to see a therapist and go to a dietitian. And, I'm, I guess, seeing a therapist, I'm very, very stubborn with my feelings and everything. So every time I go in and be like, I'm fine, this and that. And like, I wouldn't open up to this poor like therapist who wanted to try and help me. But so eventually my mom, just got so frustrated with me because she sat on in like a couple of sessions, and then a couple of sessions she wouldn't sit on because the therapist said like, oh, like maybe she'll open up more if you don't like come here, and I never fucking did because I was like, oh, I'm strong enough, I can get through this by myself.
Yeah.
And so eventually my mom kind of stopped going there because it's kind of a waste of her money. And so I saw my dietitian for a while, and it was honestly one of the hardest things I've done. She had me record literally every single thing that I ever ate, caloric wise, and how many grams of this and how many grams of that. And it kind of, while it helped me gain my weight back, it also kind of developed this bad habit of always tracking what I ate, even after I was kind of done with my sessions with her and gained back the weight that I needed. I just kind of fell into this terrible habit of always tracking what I ate and, just always pulling out my calculator on my phone and adding up, can I eat this? Am I allowed this in my diet today? And I remember a couple of times, like my mom, she would always kind of yell at me to eat more food, and she would literally just almost like shove food down my throat just to help gain the weight back and everything. And eventually it just kind of, I just got into like this huge depression, and eventually, it was kind of a depressive mode for, and a anorexic kind of thing going on throughout middle school and high school. I ended up attempting suicide twice, once on the 4th of July and the other on Christmas Eve. I never really had any friends through middle school and high school, so I never really had anyone to go to. I didn't really trust my parents. I saw my brother as an enemy, of course, and it was just kind of a really dark time in my life. I never went to drugs, even though my high school definitely had drugs.
Yeah.
Never really went to those. I ended up being valedictorian, one of the valedictorians in my class. We had like 8 of them. But, and I ended up telling this whole story to them. Yeah, and including my parents, who never knew really. I guess maybe they knew, I don't know, but nobody ever really addressed it in my family about what I was going through, because it was pretty obvious. Like, I was so secluded from everyone and everything. I barely spoke words to anyone. Again, I never had friends. I never had anyone to talk to. I really just resorted to music and, just kind of my hobbies at the time. And so eventually valedictorian one of our speeches, I kind of told everyone, it had been like 1,000 people or so in the stadium, and I told them about this whole story about committing or attempting suicide. And kind of my past life that kind of led to who I am now. And my mom, she didn't speak to me for a couple of days afterwards. My dad and my brother just kind of hugged me. A lot of people came up to me afterwards and hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're okay." But I mean, it was kind of sad that nobody at the time ever realized it. I don't blame them for it, of course, but I wanted somebody to notice that something was wrong and something was off. But I mean, I guess maybe people at the time were just afraid to. And so, I mean, I like to thank that period of my life to kind of develop being who I am today. I never, I live life not ever wanting someone to go through that. And I know that people, you guys, some of you out there might be going through something like this. And I just want you to know that I am there for you. I have somewhat of an understanding of what you're going through. And, I'm always here if you ever want to talk about it. I get it. And I get that it's hard to talk about it. But, I just want to make people laugh. I want to make people happy because I never want anyone in this world to go through what I did all alone, because it is terrifying and it is miserable. And I just never want anyone to go through that by themselves, because I know it's scary and I know it's really difficult, especially with all the voices in your head telling you, should I or shouldn't I, what about this, what about that, but please reach out to us if you're going through something like that, and we're more than likely to, happy to talk to you and everything like that.
So what out of this would be a positive way that we could end this, such as maybe what are some coping skills that we use instead when we feel we either did you ever throw up food?
No,
That's good. You just starve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to the point of not eating, shooting up drugs, or rolling that joint, having your smoke, or drinking that beer. Instead of using those as coping skills, or instead of reaching to that as your first, skill, something that is going to calm you down, what else do you guys do that kind of gets you back in that? What gets you back to normal? I'm back here at life.
And out of the funk.
Yes.
I would get myself around someone who's supporting, like I was.
So
That's just me.
Like a friend.
Find a friend who can ground you.
Grounding's a good thing.
The present,
Mm-hmm.
and get you out of the, I just want to drown my sorrows, wash them down, and get you someone who makes you laugh or whatever. If you don't have someone like that, go to a place that normally is happy. So, like an arcade or something,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, or a game store if you're into hobbies and collecting things. Maybe start a hobby and collect something. That's what I kind of get into. Usually I jump around a lot on hobbies. I have a lot of them. My friends and wife can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that myriad of hobbies so that I can bounce between them and not just have the one hobby, get bored, and then go to something bad.
Mm-hmm.
I bounce between them all. And that usually works for me.
Mm-hmm.
It gets my mind off of everything, and then I don't know. It definitely helps having the human interaction, though.
Absolutely.
Find someone who can get you out of the funk, and then keep that person handy.
Yeah.
Make sure they know why they're there, because if you let them know, I'm pretty sure they'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, when I left the hospital, I was in band, so I got real deep into that kind of music, or music in general. But I've always had a love for books, so I'd pick up. My favorite book at the time was A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket.
Yep.
That's a good one.
I picked that up and I reread the whole series. That kind of got me out of reality helped me out of my current headspace, put me into a new headspace. So I'd always have classical music playing in the background while I was reading. I found a new group of friends who I can who I can trust with telling things what has happened to me in the past. Only currently within the last couple of years I've sought human companionship, so like hugs or somebody to talk to, or literally just sitting outside smoking and joking. You know what I mean? Just somebody to talk to get your mind off of that dark place of this is what you need to do, this is what you know, this is safe. Getting you out of that comfort zone, if you will, and putting you into, no, you can trust these people, you don't need to go back to that. Or as simple as picking up your favorite book, even though it's the 100th time you've read it.
That's okay.
Just rereading it, not necessarily memorizing everything that happens, but just getting into your fantasy land or anything. I also got real big into the Call of Duty games at that time. So that's kind of what I did. I got real big into books, music, and games. That's all I did through the rest of my high school career. And I found better friends, and now I seek their companionship when I'm feeling down.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. What about you, Senpai? We haven't heard from you
yes,
at all.
yes, Senpai, notice us.
But what normally helps me get through the day, first of all, I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do, and that's really a big part of like what makes me happy. Other than that, when I get home, I have hobbies. I have a few hobbies actually. So I like to play video games. That's one of my hobbies. I find something that I'm really good at, which happens to be beating ass. I love fighting games, like I really do. Like that's like a big thing in my life, and like a big reason why is because when I was younger, my stepdad was actually watching a old movie. You may know it, you may not. It's called Rush Hour. So I actually walked downstairs when he was watching it, you know, and I was like, that guy Jackie Chan, he's a pretty cool dude. And I sat there and watched the entire movie with him. And since then, like, I think that's really what bonded me and my stepfather, just action movies in general. And then since then, I found a love in martial arts, movies like Ip Man, any Jackie Chan movie, really. I spent a long time researching like Jackie Chan, like all the movies he was in, even like his early movies, just getting started watching all of those. And that's really why I really deeply enjoy just fighting games, just in general. Other than that, I do like other video games such as like Call of Duty, like Wet Noodle, you know, and Haas. I've actually found that I like to watch cartoons like most other children. So then, upon watching more cartoons, I found anime as a big impact in my life, and I actually went to college to become an animator so I can make my own anime. Yeah, so those are my big hobbies. I do like to play sports. I like to play basketball. I like to play football. I'll play anything you give me a ball with.
Sorry.
Not inappropriate or anything like that, you know. Did you ever play softball?
Yeah, well, I mean, baseball.
Baseball?
I did, actually, no. To come to think about it, I did play baseball, but then I also did play with a softball, so I guess that counts as a softball.
Yeah.
I did. It does.
You threw around the softball.
I threw around the softballs, if you will. I'm actually a softball connoisseur, if you will. So, not inappropriately.
Tell me, sir, what kind of softballs do you have?
Preferably the blue kind. Just kidding.
These ones are yellow. Highlighter yellow.
Highlighter yellow. Yes,
You got
I have
some
played
problems.
I have played with those highlighter yellow balls as well. Not inappropriately, of course, not inappropriately. But yes, the main point of the story here is find something that you enjoy. Like I found plenty of things I enjoy that keep me on a righteous path, if you will, and I go along with it and I do whatever the hell I feel like, and I feel pretty damn good.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's the
Well,
that's the
one way
attitude.
that's one way to make it positive.
That's the attitude to have. What about you, Bubba Cheese?
Yeah, Bubba Cheese.
Also, sorry for cursing so much. I'm bad at
Oh my God.
Yeah, Bubba Cheese. Tell us about your do's and don'ts.
Bubba Cheese, let's get it.
Right. So back in the day, at the time I was struggling through this loan. I was huge into music. I played the guitar, the bass, the flute, percussion, saxophone. Like I did it all. I had a part-time job. God, what did I do? I was like huge into sports. I did cross country and then track. I always ran long distance and everything. So I always kept myself busy and stuff. I mean, I guess music was a huge part of it. My parents ended up buying me this cheap recording system or whatever where I would record my own music and stuff, and it was really cool. My lyrics and my guitar stuff and whatnot. I unfortunately ended up losing it all when my laptop died at the time, so I don't have it anymore. But I mean, that really kind of helped me through some stuff. Now that I have a full-time job and I'm long distance with my husband, it's been quite a bit of a change in my coping mechanisms. I don't really get to play music that often. I'm not really as dependent unless I'm, just blasting it around my house as I do chores and shit. So I'm still kind of learning new mechanisms and stuff to try and help me cope. But I mean, it's still a whole new learning process. And for those of you out there, it's okay to kind of experiment with different hobbies and
sure.
Other stuff like that. To just try and find what helps you, what makes you happy through, whatever you're going through.
Right. No, that's awesome. I
wish I was more active on my coping skills.
I wish I was more active.
I wish my coping skill was working out.
know.
That'd be nice.
I know, and it's hard, So as a kid, being bullied every day, being picked on, sexually harassed and all this stuff. My coping skill was learning martial arts, so something I can totally appreciate.
Hell yeah.
I love it. But I actually, so it was taught at the YMCA. I know it was Shituru Shukukai Union. It was Japanese style martial art, and so that actually got my mind busy, and it made me feel more confident, and it made my self-esteem go up, and that was the big thing that I needed because I got picked on for a lot of things, and if I could have that behind myself, I just felt more confident. So, and I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, my sensei passed away. Rest in peace, Sensei Eric. I love you and miss you. Now, as an adult, I have not practiced. I would still love to practice. I just haven't gone, but I wish I could, and I should. But another thing I found interesting is diamond art. Diamond art has really helped me kind of take my mind away. I listen to music, or YouTube is a huge inspiration for me, simply for the fact that anything that can make me usually giggle or laugh obviously gets me in a lot better mood. So big shout out to obviously PewDiePie. He was like my number one. It was my first guy that I subscribed to, and then I got into Markiplier. And then, Jacksepticeye and all these guys, and then I started watching the Gaming Beaver because I started getting into dinosaurs and all these things, and watching him, play Jurassic World Live and all these cool things. So I have, people I can go to, and it's funny that even if it is just another YouTuber or somebody just to make you smile or make you just have, you were talking about your streamer that, anybody that unfortunately passed away. That's a big deal for us because we, if you are somebody that's involved in that community, you usually watch them every single day or every other day or whenever they post their videos, and it's part of your life. Yeah. I mean, like, watching PewDiePie is a daily thing for me. Watching Markiplier is a daily thing for me, and Unis Honest and doing all this, and it's a great thing, and it keeps my mind busy. And I guess I just love seeing people that can start from the bottom and work their way up, and I can just really respect that and appreciate that. So but stick with those, people stay strong out there, and obviously, if you need anything, you can reach out to us, but try to find a hobby, try to find something that makes you happy, try to find something that really just brings peace. Maybe yoga, maybe just going for a walk with the dog, you're watching your favorite TV show, watching your favorite movie.
Having people laugh when you're there, it kind of helps you be like, okay, I'm important.
Yeah.
And you don't have those dark thoughts in your head like you're not important or you don't matter, but instead it kind of fills your heart with love, and it swells. It makes you feel like, okay, these people would really be sad if I wasn't here to joke about something.
Right. And that's why I'm so glad to have all of you, because I know that I can speak about anything. I know that I can go to you guys about anything. And even if it's just you to listen, just to listen to me rant about however I feel that day or whatnot, you guys are just there to listen. And I know, you'll give the best advice to your knowledge and whatnot, but it's just good knowing that just surround yourself with positive people. If you have toxic people in your life, get them out. It's not, nobody has time for that.
There was one thing I was told at a very low point in my life, and I kind of live by it, but it's good people make good morals.
Mm-hmm.
Bad people influence bad morals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was by my law enforcement teacher. Absolutely the best thing I could live for. There's also another one. It's called Life is a Test. So everything in life is to test you. Of course, you wouldn't be tested if life knew that you were going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
You may feel like you're going to fail, but you're going to pass. No matter who's around you. If you have those negative people with you, you're going to feel like you're going to fail a whole lot more. But if you eliminate that problem, you add the positive people, they're what help you pass.
Oh, absolutely.
So I know it's tough. You make your friends. You might not think that they're negative influences. But if you're there and they're influencing you to do, not eat or do drugs or drink alcohol, or even if they're just telling you to do something negative, you're not seeing it, but everybody else is telling you, just listen. I know it kind of goes through your head not to listen, but just take everybody's opinion and do what makes you happy, if anything. And if you want to reference those quotes that I said, Life is Always a Test is actually from the AMC original The Walking Dead. It is from Herschel Green.
Oh, yeah.
So I live by that quote. The one about the morals is from a Mr. St. Pierre. So those are what I live by. Yes, speak your truth.
I also have another quote from a great man. With great power comes great responsibility. That comes from Spider-Man Uncle Ben. he's a great inspiration to all of us. He forever rest in peace.
Oh my God.
I love you so much.
And that's why we keep you around.
There's another one. Dumbledore has style.
If we're doing quotes, I'll just quote my dad. Measure twice, cut once. Bug cheese, you got a quote?
Bubblers.
Oh. Baked Rex, what's your quote? Baked Rex. Baked Rex.
This was my quote, my high school quote, my senior quote that I had picked. You don't get another chance. Life is no Nintendo game. And I picked that because it's almost like saying you just need to grab life by the balls and take it.
You need to grab life by the controller.
Yes. Yes. But don't let your depression, don't let your anxiety, don't let your PTSD, don't let any illness that you have, if you're fighting cancer, if you're fighting MS, if you're fighting,
Anything
out there, don't let it run your life. You are in charge and you take over from there. So with that being said, we're going to end our episode here. Please remember to like and subscribe and look us up on Facebook as well.
Yes.